Hollywood headquarters. I am your Uber driver for the afternoon.
Hi, did you get the address I'm going to? Because I need to change it.
Oh, man. I don't have that kind of a hookup on my website. I'm still doing AOL. And yeah.
So you don't go out of state?
Yeah, no. You know, it's like those phones that they say it's a lower rate and it's only in certain pockets of people. It's like, oh my God, no wonder I went with this.
Of course. It's fine print. Always read the fine print.
That's right. Speaking of fine print, I'm not understanding what this movie is. Mr. Malcolm's List. What's going on here?
Well, it's opening nationwide in theaters today, and what's interesting about this film is it was based on a book that was self-published by this author, Suzanne Elaine, in 2009. It did quite well and caught the eye of a producer who developed it into a short film in 2019, and that short film was so popular that they then published the book properly in 2020, and now the feature-length film is coming out today.
Wow.
And it stars Frida Pinto, and you have Theo James and some other stars. And basically, it's inspired by Jane Austen novels, but instead of remaking Sense and Sensibility or Pride and Prejudice or all those period classics, this is a period film that's a romantic dramedy that is a fresh story, and it's really terrific.
Man, I just recently read an article that said that dramedies are back in a huge way.
Oh, well, Coda did that, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did. Yeah, somebody gets the blame, and I'm going to put that one on that one.
Very good. And you know, the list in the titular Mr. Malcolm's List is he is the most eligible bachelor in town in this English, and London. It's like 1802 or something, and he has this list of what would make the perfect bride. And of course, there's a girl who feels jilted by that. And then there's some intrigue and some twists and some drama. And it's great. I mean, I really, really enjoyed it. And you couldn't tell that it wasn't a story that had been around forever and ever. And it's beautiful.
See,
it's like a movie version. It's like a movie-length version of Bridgerton.
Really?
Yeah.
See, now you've got my attention because I love Bridgerton.
Oh, then you'll love this.
Oh, man. See, I love movies like this because it gets inside my imagination and it puts me in a place where I can escape and have a great time. And then I hold on to it and hold on to it for a very long period of time.
Mm-hmm. I think good stories do that.
Yeah. And another thing, I'm glad that you said that it was a book, because the thing about it is I love it when books become movies, because it's that one seed. Because I talk with a lot of these authors and I'll say, hey, look, when this becomes a movie, yeah, from your mouth to God's ear, whatever. But no, right. It really does happen.
It sure does. I feel like that's one of the best ways to mine. I mean, if you look at producers today like Nicole Kidman or other, really smart producers, they're mining books all the time and optioning them. And even if they option like 50 books and a couple of them turn into a TV series or a movie, but that's where they're going to. That's the go-to place. I mean, if you look at like Broadway musicals, they're all 9 times out of 10 now, they're movies that were not musical movies that are being musicalized, because when a story works with an audience and there's a familiarity, you feel like it might work in another medium.
But to go from a book to a short and now to a major motion picture, people are gonna love this, and it's gonna have to become a series on Netflix or something.
Possibly.
God, that'd be so awesome. I love stories like that.
Or a sequel. At least a sequel would be nice.
Yeah. So what is The Princess?
The Princess starts streaming today on Hulu, and it stars Joey King as the princess. And what's weird about this movie is it's a dark fantasy.
Really?
Action comedy. I didn't laugh. And the weird thing about it being rated R and starring Joey King is it starts off in the middle of action. So there's no context. Suddenly you see this princess, you assume she's locked in a tower, and she's trying to escape, and in doing so she's like murdering these guards, but it's very gory and it's very violent, and then that's basically the whole movie, is her murdering people with a lot of blood, and you get very small kernels throughout and flashbacks of story, and that is a mess. Also the score is really bad. Like I love Joey King. She was China Girl and Oz the Great and Powerful, and she did all the great Kissing Booth movies, many things. She was, she's been Emmy nominated for that other show on Hulu where she played the girl who was being Made Sick by Her Mother with Patricia Arquette.
Ooh,
I'm blanking on the name of it right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that one. I think
know
Patricia
that one.
won.
Yeah.
Patricia won for that one, and Joey. So Joey's a brilliant actress. She's one of my favorites, but I did not like her in this. I appreciate that she's a young actress who wants to and needs to break out into adult roles. I don't know if she was a victim of the script here or the editing. The score was horrible, but this was not the right role for her or the right movie, I think, even for Hulu. It just, you need to lead with story. You can't lead with action and have the story take a backseat. You need to always lead with story.
Do you think this was one of those moments where her agent is going, look, man, we got to toughen you up. We got to get you in an action film. And, Billy Bobby Brown is back, and we can't let her do all the roles. We got to get you into something.
Yeah, it could be her. I mean, it could be the agent. It could be Joey herself, who's like, I'm tired of playing teen roles. I mean, she looks very young. And what she doesn't realize, she should probably be trying to play young roles for as long as she can, because when you turn the corner into adulthood, there's no going back. And, we all want to be younger, right? So, but I appreciate she wants to make that transition. It's never easy. It's easier now than it was before for young actors to do that, but she'll do it. This is not going to harm her at all. I skip this movie. It's streaming on Hulu, but not even worth it.
You know what I do when you say stuff like that? I go in there and say, let me just go in there and just check it out. Because there's a saying that you once said to me. You said that you review movies. You don't critique them. You review movies. And I thought, okay, he reviewed the movie. I want to go in there. And man, I'll be in there for like 10 or 15 minutes and go, I got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the nice thing about being on Hulu is if you've got a Hulu subscription, you don't have to pay for the movie. You can check it out. You can agree or disagree with me. Listen, God bless if you love it. But if you don't, then you can be like, Ryan was right. You turn it off and save the time. I suffered through the thing. I watch it so you don't have to.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So what else are you up to?
Well, I'm very excited that today I'm sharing something really special on my TV segment. It will be on my website then in a couple hours, which is my red carpet footage from the Judy Garland 100th birthday celebration and fragrance reveal that I attended a couple weeks ago in LA, which would have been her 100th birthday on June 10th. And it was a magical night where not only was this great red carpet, but her family threw a private party where they celebrated her with chocolate. Judy was denied chocolate as a kid because they thought she had a weight problem. So they had chocolates made from a European chocolatier and a chocolate cake. There was a large private collection of her movie costumes on display. There were couture dresses made in a beautifully choreographed fashion show inspired by other movies of hers. There was an original song composed by the songwriters who took the letters of their name, Judy Garland, and turned them into a song. It was magnificent. Yeah. And then the reveal of this fragrance done by this guy, Vince Spinato. Now, let me tell you about Vince. Do you have a minute?
Yeah.
Okay, so Vince Spinato is one of the world's leading cosmetic chemists, and he's a certified nose. And I had to ask him what that was. A certified nose, basically his nose is insured, and he is like a sommelier for wine, but he does that with his nose for fragrance. So you know how if you've ever gone to a sommelier and they can tell you all the different notes, and when you pick out a wine and you're going to taste this and then, I don't know, I just drink wine. I either like it or I don't. I can't tell you what flavors I'm finding in there, but these sommeliers can. And this cosmetic chemist, so with all fragrances, colognes, perfumes, he did something here where he made it unisex. Judy has a big gay following, so it's for men and women. It's not masculine, it's not feminine.
Are you kidding me? It's great. My God.
And it incorporates the Judy Garland rose and chocolate and all these other things from her life that she loved. And it was developed with her children, Lorna Luft, Liza Minnelli, Joe Luft. And when they first smelled it, they said, it smells like mama. It's so beautiful. Everyone who I know has sampled it loves it. I've been wearing it. Dad, what do you think?
Terrific.
All right. See, so there you go. My dad's chauffeuring me to the TV station this morning. It's his first time back since February 2020. Anyway, so you can listen. If you're curious, if you're a fan of Judy Garland like I am, you can pick up the fragrance at judygarlandfragrance.com. It's magnificent. But I will be sharing my interviews from the red carpet today.
Was there a part of your creative imagination, and I know you've got a huge imagination, that you wanted to walk up to the fashion that was on display and just have a conversation with it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, I did get to meet the designer. And so that creative process, I mean, that's where you really appreciate artists. When you see something so inventive and ingenious and you think to yourself, well, first of all, I don't have the talent to create couture or clothing. I can't sew on a button. You know what I mean? But to be able to drape fabric that way, but to look at something that maybe Judy Garland wore in A Star is Born and create something different, but it also harkens back to, and right away you understand it's inspired by, there's a whole other level of artistry and talent there.
Yeah, that's why I've always said that creativity is the addiction. You know what your art is. Go do something about it, and don't silence it. Just understand it.
Yeah, and when you're like me and you don't have any talent, you become talent adjacent, and you interview talent. That's what I've done with my life.
Well, you know what my mantra is: share your story, or someone will write it for you. So that's my mission: share the dang story.
Amen.
So that's it. That's going to pop up on your website, ryanjreviews.com, in the next couple of hours. Then.
Absolutely.
So now let me ask you a question. I've been on one red carpet, and it was when Cars came out, and I mean it's like the top dogs were on that carpet. When you reach out with that microphone, and I try to teach the students at the schools of broadcasting this, you're only given a few moments to get a few words. I mean it's amazing, isn't it?
It is. I mean, sometimes you're screaming one question. You shout the question, they come over and give you a yes or no answer, and you're like, "Great, thanks, Madonna." Something you can't use. You know, I've hopped the velvet rope and been thrown out. In case of chasing Madonna. Mm-hmm. I have. Sometimes they'll group you together. Often when I would do red carpets, cover them when I was doing radio back in New York. This is like 15 years ago, but I would be grouped together, because the red carpets, the publicist set them up in a way so that when stars first enter the red carpet, they first get the still photos from the paparazzi, then they talk to the big national outlets. So they're talking to the cameras like Entertainment Tonight and Access Hollywood and that. Then they go to the local affiliates in the big cities like New York, LA, Chicago, who's there. Then it gets smaller and smaller. It goes down. You get to radio, you get to magazines, you get to online. So you're all kind of there. And as you get down to where I would be on the red carpet, a lot of people just pass you by. They've wasted all their time, or spent all their time rather, giving 10-minute interviews to Entertainment Tonight, who will use 15 seconds of their interview. It's very frustrating, but you shout. Sometimes you've developed relationships with publicists that are there, so they'll recognize you. I remember I was on the red carpet of The Dark Knight, and it was Christian Bale was coming down. I knew that his publicist and said, group together the 15, of you, and said, Ryan, you're going to ask the one question. So you got 15 journalists all cramming their microphones into Christian Bale's face, and I asked the one question, but they all walked away with his answer for their coverage. So it's a very competitive thing. People will try to push you. Other journalists, will be trying to cram into your space. I was once on a red carpet where Russell Crowe spoke down to me when he got to me because he thought I was being distracting. Meanwhile, it was someone next to me that was distracting him, but he blamed me for it because so it's a very tense, dramatic, anxious situation. The pressure's on you. Sometimes your job is on the line to walk away with audio or footage that you can use for your coverage, and you just have to bring your A game and be aggressive, really, and get what you can.
Yeah, the exercise that I do with the students is when I start, because I'm usually with them for like 6 weeks, and I'll go, okay, during the next 6 weeks there will be times when from out of nowhere I will say 3 questions, and they have to come up with a question immediately, because they've got to learn to exercise that muscle that in a split second somebody of fame or of importance is going to walk in front of you and as a broadcaster get the answer.
It's true. And as on a red carpet, and that's very true, because you could be anywhere and you could be at a party and a star could be there that would be willing to talk to you on the record, and you get it when you can. The thing is often the case that after parties for movie premieres, if you get into those, they do that. But on the red carpet, you usually have the benefit of seeing the star. You have about sometimes 45 minutes to an hour watching them slowly inch toward you. So you're sweating it out, hoping they'll actually speak to you. But sometimes, the publicist will give you the tip sheet that lists who's going to be appearing. And as was the case for the movie premiere of 9, where I was so excited to see Nicole Kidman, that was one of my red carpet interviews with Donald Trump that night.
Wow.
I also, talked to the director, Rob Marshall, but not on the tip sheet. Sometimes they'll do this with big stars. Madonna was not on the tip sheet and not doing press. So she was passing everyone by, from the TV outlets to the rest of them. And that's why I hopped the velvet rope and ran after her. And Madonna, one question. And I did manage to ask her daughter Lourdes a question before security got me and threw me back over into my spot. But again, that was I have no regrets, Arrow.
RyanJReviews.com.